Okay, we run it now. Good morning. Good morning. We have our first breakdown for the BDO console update, and today's update is humongous. Humongous. It's going to start with character improvements. So the Nova improvements right here. These ones, what they wound up doing is combining the vacuums. So Nova initially had two separate vacuums. Now instead of putting it in two different locations because of the Nova changes, the slow changes overall, you now combine them into one. So it's actually doubled the size of the overall area of effect. But you now no longer put down two orbs that have their own individual vacuums attached to them. It's just one giant vacuum now. I think it's a buff, but it is intended so they can't overlap two vacuums in one spot. I think it's the only major change that we got from the class balances. Rude Awakening, Weapon Cancel abilities, Seraph's issue were fixed for combat. Yeah, just basic stuff, just cleaned up. The Alchemy rework finally came out, which we're already seeing Splendids on the market for like 700 billion. The prices are all going to wind up plummeting, but the new items that we wind up getting is Fate Essence of Ether, which is what you get from the actual Rift bosses himself, and then Brimming Essence is what you're using when you're using Sharps or the Aquila's Piece of Old Moon from Old Moon vendors to make them into Brimming Essences. So if you're on console now, make sure you do your Rifts. You'll get 20 of the Faint, and you'll turn those into Brimming and then swing. Now, if you don't already currently have a Alchemy Stone, you can work your way up from the smallest tier, which is, we'll see in a second too as well. It's right before Sharp. But my recommendation, while I pull up the name for the most recent tier, the lowest tier, Sturdy, Imperfected, and then up to Sturdy, is wait. I would wait, because what you wind up doing is you only get to swing on your Alchemy Stone every 5 days. So if you conserve your attempts now and purchase a decently priced Resplendent Alchemy Stone in the future, then you could just begin at Resplendent or begin as low as Sharp. But I would not waste weekly taps on Imperfect or Sturdies. Just wait a little bit, allow other people to create the Sharps to try to make some profit off of it, and then just purchase a Sharp at like 2 to 3 billion or a Resplendent between 37 to 40 billion. They will drop. So currently right now, Sharps are going on the market for like 60 something billion. It's way overpriced, but over the course of the next like 3-4 weeks, the price will get to more realistic purchasable amount. So I would not buy a Resplendent Alchemy Stone for 60 plus a billion. Wait until they get closer to 40. And then in that time, however long it takes you to wait for those Resplendent Alchemy Stones to get to that price, you'll have that many weeks already stored up to start using towards a pity that's more meaningful than just getting Sturdies or Sharps. But, of course, whatever you feel like is best. You can't attach it. We'll see this in the future. We'll kind of scroll down a little bit. You cannot create a Velsart plus an Alchemy Stone until that Alchemy Stone is a Resplendent or higher. So Sharps, Sturdies, Imperfects are just, you're waiting until they actually wind up hitting Resplendent to attach them to your Velsart. The way that I've described the Alchemy Stone change is like a picture the most convenient way possible they could have added it. And the answer is yes. You can rip out your cup now and not destroy your cup that is snapped to your current Velsart. You can rip your cup out of your Resplendent if you're currently using Resplendent, and with a Mirror of Equilibrium from a Black Spirit, and then snap on the Resplendent to your Velsart or your Consort, and then put the cup onto it afterwards, and then enhance it after everything is attached into its final form. Or you can enhance them individually as well. So the only thing to kind of keep in mind is it does take one of your brimming essences in order to separate them. It'll pop up later on too as well. But the Velsart, Resplendent or higher, plus a brimming essence will snap them together. Now, the inconvenient part about that is if you're already starting at like Resplendent or even Splendid Alchemy Stone, that the Weeklies are in batches of 20 per rift. So you'll always be one essence down. So what they did on PC, and I'm going to check to see if they did it on console, is they gave us one in the mail, which it does not look like is what happened with us. So what will most likely, if you're starting at Resplendent, you'll likely be at like 19 indefinitely, unless you use those to try to enhance like a sharp and make profit later on. But just something to kind of keep in mind, it does take one of your Brimming Essence of Ether, which will inevitably take one of your attempts. This is vacuum suck. Imagine turning TTS off. Yep. Okay. Simple alchemy. Okay, so what it's telling you here is what is available to snap your Resplendent plus alchemy stones onto. You can snap it onto your Vel's Heart. You can snap it on your Khan's Destruction. You can snap the protection stones onto Khan's protection stone. You cannot put protection stones onto Vel's Hearts or destruction Khans. It has to be protection with protection or destruction with destruction. And then life skilling, same exact thing too as well. And then the Behelits, that's just the, I'm sure I completely butchered that. It doesn't matter. It's the Berserk skin. It's the pay to win skin. It's like $200 skin that came out years ago. It's just the red Vel's Heart. That's all that's saying right there. Okay, so they changed. It's just kind of going over it again. Yep. Just going over the recipes on how to wind up doing it. Change the existing alchemy stones. What they wound up doing here is they changed the grade and removed a lot of the fodder alchemy stones, the ones that we don't need anymore, right? So there was a lot of different variations between alchemy stones. They simplified it and they color coordinated it based on the quality that they are. So originally they were all just yellow. It didn't really matter how good they were or how bad they were. Now they actually have it so that when you're starting at imperfected, it's white, and you work your way all the way up to purple, which would be shining, right? They just made it so that it's more the actual color of the names within the description of the item represent the quality of the item itself, rather than just all being yellow. They changed the value of a ton of these alchemy stones and removed a lot of them. So all the alchemy stones that were removed, if you did have the alchemy stones that were green, blue, and yellow grade for imperfected, etc., they removed those and then reimbursed you with silver. Skip. They adjusted some of the red text on items like Perla Star, Power Stone, Ators, and just change it to yellow. Right? It's not an endgame item, so they don't want it to be represented by red. Red means the final form. All right, these are the adjustments to the essential market prices. Notable ones in here would be the sharps. They're probably going to sit around. So these are just max prices. This is speculation based on what's been going on within the North America PC market. But sharps will most likely sit around 2 to 3 billion. Resplendents will sit around 37 to 45 billion. Splendids are going to be sitting around 300, and of course, all prices are subject to change based on how long it's been since the update. And then Shining sitting at 5 trill. Yep, basic stuff. The growth, how this works is we actually have a. Let's see if we have it. There we go. So we have a breakdown of kind of roughly how much it's going to take per enhancement. So to give an example, let's say Resplendent to Splendid, you're looking at 26,000 ingots. The important thing here to note when you're talking about growth is the bottleneck is not going to be the ingots. There's plenty on the market. There's a lot of ores that people are getting just from the worker empires. You won't have to stress about running out of ingots. Just what you're going to need is roughly 30K to 100K base if you're trying to go to Resplendent, Splendid, or Shining. 100K ingots is plenty of ingots. You're definitely not going to need more than that for a very long time. And you wind up using a small portion each time. Once you go from, there is an Agris now and no Cronstones for the enhancement. So the materials you need to enhance is an alchemy stone. You need sharps. The sharps are then combined with the faint rift boss blue orbs you get for killing the rift bosses every 5 days. And you can replace the sharps with Aquila's Piece of Old Moon from Old Moon vendors. The old Moon vendor sharps, they're just like synthetic sharps or fake sharps. They're used to make it so that the sharps are not completely wiped out the market. So on the central market, if a sharp is more than 5 million each, then it's better to use pieces of old Moon rather than using sharps. So just kind of based on how the market's going and what events are currently going on and how many sharps are available floating in the market, you'd be using Aquila or sharps, but both of them are available. And then the aggregates will build up based on your guys' fails. It shows you percentages. They actually adjusted these like 4 or 5 times, but the final percentages are not too bad. Sharp to resplendent, these are the ones you're going to wind up going from imperfected and sturdy relatively quickly because they don't really take that much to pity, and you're going to get a lot of these attempts early on. Remember, you get 120 of these every single 5-day period. 120 of these ethers. So if it only takes required two per attempt, 3 per attempt, you're going to be able to fly through the early stages of imperfected and sturdy. Remember, though, that if you are using your weekly reset or your 5-day reset on lower alchemy stones like imperfected and sturdy, not only are you missing out on the potential of what you could be using from resplendent to splendid or splendid to shining, but also you're going to end up with an odd number because they're not rounded off, right? So let's say I had 20 of the new alchemy stone enhancement materials, and I used 1 attempt on imperfected, but then I wound up buying a resplendent later on down the line. I'll be left with 18, and I won't be able to utilize that 18 anymore. So even though it only counts as 2, it's still going to be represented as a full attempt towards your future alchemy stones. So just something to keep in mind once again, just to reiterate that it might be beneficial to wait until alchemy stones go down in price and just hoard some of those weekly taps. Of course, you don't want to buy an alchemy stone overpriced, so you got to be a little careful. Like I said, roughly around, because of the sharp cost per attempt, about 40 billion. It's about as high as you're going to want to go for those resplendent destruction stones, unless, of course, you want to just pay premium and get it over with. Okay. The new Marni Realm came out. And the Marni Realm, the concept of it is you go into the realm for an hour and 5 minutes, and it gives you a full breakdown while you're grinding at the end, like a report of how well you did, how much trash you got, how much individual special loot you got, BMCs, Caphras, dust, whatever it may be. What I liked about the Marni Realm change is not actually the end report. That's cool to kind of give you an example of how much money you're actually making per hour. But during the grind, it actually shows you a log that's actively updating on your screen. So that right here isn't really fully shown, but it will be on like the left side of your screen underneath your HP bar, where you can see your items as you collect them as you grind. So you can actually show your buddies like how much you're actually gaining per hour. Now, Marni Realm, of course, has its issues, right? You can't do it on Archer server, and you can't do it every hour. It does have to recharge. So it's normally, I think it's like 1 hour in, 1 hour out. Don't quote me on that, but you can't just indefinitely stay in Marni Realm. So it really is kind of more of an assessment for a location, not like an indefinite opportunity for grind. They added more Marni Realms too as well. So more zones will have in City of the Dead, Tonguard Ruins, Dark Seekers, etc. Monster changes. So previously the changes of the character instance, the tiers you die. Yeah, so they made it so that when you resurrect in the closest safe zone, it's refresh you full HP. Yeah, so dying against your guild bosses is less inconvenient. Resurrection at the closest town has been removed, and the instant resurrection will receive full HP if you die inside your guild bosses. Estimate time for boss subjugation held for 1 hour to 3 hours. This won't be reset. Your summon bosses will apply to all bosses in the shared duration. The hold time won't reset when you summon a guild boss, and it applies across all guild bosses with shared duration. So it looks like they extended it. It used to be 1 hour. So when you initially began your guild bosses, there was a timer at the top of your screen. They went from 1 hour to 3 hours, which is pretty nice because you could, I'm sure a lot of us experienced how frustrating it could be to try to get your entire guild on the same server at the right time in the damn instance. So I'd say huge plus. The new grind zones for Dekia. This is huge. What's up, Shams? Slice, I see you. The new grind zones for Dekia. So what we're getting here is, now remember guys, if you guys are watching this, this is a console update. So PC updates, console will wind up getting it 2 to 4 weeks later on. So it may be a little confusing for some. I'm gonna make sure that that's kind of reiterated throughout the duration of the video. That console updates come out at a different time. There's no global labs for console. So these videos and these breakdowns of the updates will come out on the day of the update rather than, or be created on the day of the update, right? Uploaded within 24 hours, hopefully. But yes, so consoles getting Dekia Gyphins and Dekia trees. Now, the point of these grind zones is to get early, relatively early game, right? I think we can all agree 350 AP is a pretty decent amount. I thought trees were 330, but I guess I'm mistaken on that one. Let me double check to make sure. What is Gyphins then? 370? Yeah. So trees is 350. That's actually pretty steep, but it's kind of like a mid game prior to Adonia grind zone, right? 350 is about the entry level for castle number one, and if you have the correct Adonia crystals, potentially castle two. But the trees actually have a mechanic. So both trees and Gyphins are trying to fill the gap from mid to early end game progression to kind of round off what some of the horizontal progression that you're missing. So notable drops here are all of the cup pieces at one location. So if you guys remember going back, or maybe you haven't experienced this, Elvius Serendia with Nagas Fogans, Castle Ruins, Baragi Den, Orcs, and Imps, they all dropped individual shards for each piece of the cups that you'd like to snap onto your earrings and rings and etc. You'd have to go to those individual locations, grind the individual colors representing the cup that you'd wind up be working on, either ring or belt or whatever it may be. That's basically done. You could do that incredibly early game if you'd like to work on your cups early, but this is going to be like the premier, the go-to location to work on cups. So you'll notice that the shards are going to be more available on the market. Axe straight drops of cups will be more available on the market. So if you can either go out here and grind here yourself with a group, if you're in a guild or have friends that want to group grind, or you could just wait for them to be available on the market. They will be popping up more significantly more frequently, and you don't have to just wait for a cup event to wind up popping up to actually do these. So, but Dekia trees, 350 grind zone, 427 DP. My experience when I was grinding here did not do too much damage. There is a mechanic that can hurt you if you do ignore it. It's very similar to the third dungeon. If you guys have ever done that, what will wind up happening is 3 minions will spawn. The boss will then glow multiple colors. The color that it lands on at the end is the mob that you have to kill. So if the big tree that you're fighting at the end will glow blue, then you'll kill the blue mob and then continue killing the tree. And if you do that, then mobs get a debuff and boss dies and you don't take damage. They also drop Dekia artifacts here. You get Dekia fragments, and you can get the straight drop artifacts as well. So down here, it probably will show the loot, but notable drops, DR and Evasion Dekia artifacts, Debo belts, and Void Tainted Whispers. Void Tainted Whispers are the new exchange currency to swap within your rewards tab for any of the cup shards. So you use Void Tainted Whispers to exchange for any of the pieces, the cups that you would need. Lady says, huge plus is nobody dying at guild bosses anymore. True. Very true. Tat, what's going on, dude? Good morning. We're kind of just going over the console patch notes. Console got a massive update. It's honestly like a collage, a mosh pit of a ton of different updates that have been going on PC at individual weeks, and they just put them all together to one massive one. So Tat says scored a Resplendent Alchemy Stone for 35 billion. Phenomenal price. Very, very good price. Huge plus. Trash loot's 101,000 silver. It doesn't really mean too much. It's a good value. Realistically speaking, the numbers that you should be achieving while grinding here with Agris is about 2.5 to just under 3 billion. You're not really going to be able to easily get over that 3 bill or even achieve that 3 bill if you're keeping a lot of the stuff that you're getting though. So if you're keeping all of your cup items, you're keeping all your Dekia fragments and Dekia artifacts, then that's going to cut into your profits. But the main reason you go here, you get a grind with friends, is a nice mid-game grind zone. It kind of brings back the nostalgia of trees, and you could work on your cups and your Dekia artifacts with friends at a different location, right? Rather than just going to Dolan's. Gyphins, same thing, has its own mechanic. It has pretty basic stuff. It'll wind up summoning 3 towers during the fight. And you walk up to the tower, you hit it one time. If the tower glows gold, then you keep it alive. If it glows purple, you kill it. I hope I'm right when I say that. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, please. I'm pretty sure you kill the purple towers, and there's two of them, and then you keep the gold one alive. And when you do that, the trial is over, is what it'll wind up saying, and then the mechanic will progress. And then eventually, what will wind up happening is all three towers will spawn. You hit the tower, they spawn a bunch of mobs, and then you kill the mobs, and then a crusher will spawn, break the tower, rinse and repeat, kill the crusher. Crusher drops a ton of loot. Dekia Gyphins, very, very good grind zone. It's not going to take over the meta for any location. It's about 3 billion an hour, plus or minus. With Agris, of course, the efficiency of your group and the amount of reps that you've had within that location. But it drops a lot of the items that you're looking for. It drops a ton of the shards, well, the whispers that you'll need. Same concept again. You'll get the whispers to use in your exchange currency, but the AP requirement has been bumped up quite a bit. 370 AP is a substantial increase from 350. We can all know that 20 AP is very easy to write down on a piece of paper, significantly harder to achieve, right? But a group of 370 AP, especially if you're just trying to round off some of the cups that you might be missing, or you don't have all of you, maybe you want deck your artifact swaps, you want the evasion and the DR, this is a good spot to kind of go to for that. You can already have it completed, and you could sell them, and then maybe help your buddy out, get them as well. But it's upper Gyphins, remember, it's not underground. So same thing again, notable drops, evasion and DR artifacts, Dekia or Debo belts, Void Whispers, those are the exchange currency for the different sharps, and then drops Limbo Seals. Trash loot's bumped up. You're going to get about 25% more trash here, or value in your trash here. Tat says, do you do the Alchemy Stone info already? Yeah, we did kind of briefly go over it. If you have any questions, just let me know, okay? Because I'm going to take pauses between these segments and then go to the chat and then see if you guys have any questions regarding the segments or anything you guys think is notable to add, okay? So if you guys feel like I either misspoke or missed some information, this is really our first ever breakdown of a console update, and kind of just putting it all in one spot in one condensed YouTube video so you guys can kind of go through it, timestamps, and kind of just figure out what you guys want to look at. So a lot of the features are going to be muted within the stream, just so that it's not too distracting. So just kind of keep that in mind. But if you guys have any questions, or if I feel like I skimmed over something or misspoke, then just speak up, and every segment that I go over, we'll go through the chat too as well. You guys can see the chat in the top left corner of the screen. So, okay, so here's the material changes. So you can sell these on the Essential Market. So if you want the different shards yourself, especially if you already have some already, maybe you have past jewel events, the cup events that you've had where you could purchase some of them, you might be able to make a cup today based on just what's selling on the Essential Market if you're close enough already. Rift Boss reward improvements. So what they've done here, improvements is a strong word, because what they've done is you get 100 crowns for Rift Boss, right? I think that was already in the game, but sure, we'll continue on with it. 100 crowns per Rift Boss. Rift Boss is like a no-brainer. I'm not quite sure why they're doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on the importance of making sure you do your Rift Bosses. But Rift Bosses spawn on your map. It's a purple circle on your map. They spawn at the exact same locations. I think it's like six in total now. And they spawn between Calpheon and Medaya. And they're all kind of condensed in more of center focus in the map rather than going all over the damn place. No more middle of nowhere griffins and stuff like that. But they increase the gold bars, right? According to the set probability. Yeah, you get gold bars, you get the new essence, you get dawns. This is all kind of the similar stuff that we've got in the past. But what they've done is they've removed the RNG crates. So you now no longer can get random gold accessories. So what you'll notice is some of those gold accessories are going to go up in price. Sissels, ogres, anything that you're getting from your Rift Bosses periodically that you may have been either selling or enhancing for your Essence of Dawn are now removed. Rift Bosses do not give you random yellow drops anymore. So you'll notice some of those accessories are going to go up in price a little bit. Cups are done. Great job, not OP. Tat says, basic how to get ready, brother. Please, polishing, enhancement, merging, etc. Yeah, so we can do a quick overview right here for the Alchemy Stone. Of course, right, we can always go back in the video when it's done. But TLDR for Alchemy Stone. Alchemy Stones now start at Imperfect. You kill your Rift Bosses, you get your orbs. You combine your orbs with Sharps or Aquila's Piece of Old Moon from Old Moon vendors, and it'll be the recipe would be the faint auras, the orbs, the blue orbs you get from the Rift Bosses, the Sharps themselves, and Blackstone Powder. I can't remember the last item. I mentioned it earlier. But you combine them all together and then use those orbs to enhance we can go back over it again too as well after we wind up going through the whole notes. But we'll talk more about that in a moment. Okay. Well, here's your percentages too as well for the Agris. But kill your rift bosses. Number one thing you can do right now. You will not fall behind in alchemy stones if you kill your rift bosses. Okay. Start with that, and then past that point, there's no rush. The prices are only going to go down, right? Especially because the only bottleneck that you have is your own personal 5-day resets, and the alchemy stone price is going down in price because you have a cooler piece of old moon always readily available for you. So there is not really a rush for the alchemy stones. Not something you get to stress about. They have a new tier grind zone. So this is actually not new grind zones. It's just a new way of categorizing grind zones from now and into the future. So a high tier monster grind zone is 395 AP in current BDO. So there's now a second location, which we'll cover in a moment. It's down below this, Star's End, right? They revamped Star's End to have 395 AP, very similar to Zephyros, Lava Frogs. The high tier grind zones now have a set table that's available to all of those grind zones. So this is a universal drop table that is shared amongst all future 395 AP or whatever is classified as high tier grind zone locations. So what they've added is they've added the dyes. So they have a couple picture examples down below, but this right here, this item, the Primordial Pigment Sovereign, the most important thing you're going to look at is the first and the last words they use to describe the actual dye itself. So the first one tells you the color. The last one tells you what it's used for. So this right here is a red Sovereign Weapon dye. This is a straight drop completed item. All right. The pigments, that's right, the Primordial Violet, nope, a straight drop. The luster is the pity pieces. So what they've added is Crimson Primordial Pigment Sovereign. That's a straight drop red dye for a sovereign weapon. This is a straight drop purple dye for a sovereign weapon. This is a straight drop purple armor dye. There is no red armor dye for Adonia armor. It's already red. So there is a purple dye though. So just make sure that you understand kind of the difference of sovereign for your weapon, purple for your armor. They are not the same item. And then the lusters are individual pity pieces that can then be turned into the pigment in the future, of course, with a combination of BMCs. They've also added oil of immortality. So you're going to get like 2 or 3 of these an hour while grinding now at endgame grind zones. It is an amazing change, especially for endgame PvPers, because we burn through consumables non-stop. Now, my expectation when they initially released this was that we would be seeing more immortals sitting in the market and hopefully the price would drop a little bit. It's not the case. Not enough of this is dropping, and most of the people that are grinding at 395 AP grind zones are just keeping them for themselves because they don't really need the slight boost of income. So don't expect immortal prices dropping anytime soon. Just be appreciative that we're getting some of them while we're grinding. Good morning, Kampachi. How are you? Okay, so the prices for the actual dyes themselves. These are max prices. This is not what we're going to most likely be seeing these prices at. The 500 mil is not what it's going to be at. Red dyes actually drop more commonly than purple dye. I don't think they go over the drop tables here. I'm not quite sure why they wouldn't, but red dye is actually more common than purple. So when you're grinding, you're going to get significantly more of it. So you'll notice the red dye is always going to be slightly cheaper. And you're also going to notice that because the only way to view the Adonia armor dye is to be wearing the Adonia armor, it's hidden underneath pearl items. The armor dyes are going to likely, unless this is adjusted in the future, plummet. Because most people don't run around in Adonia armor. So just something to take a note of. These prices look crazy at first, but the armors are just really not valued that much. Like people will buy them, people will sell them, but it's nothing compared to the purple and red, the red and purple weapon dyes. These sit around 50-ish billion for the actual straight dye for purple, And then the red die is sitting on currently right now on PCNA around 30 billion. So 30 bill for red weapon die, 50 bill for purple die. Those prices are only going to go down because more people will be grinding for them, less people will need them, and more grind zones will be released in the future. I know Sakurai is being reworked, right, which will also be considered a high tier grind zone, and will be providing these dies. Now, a couple things that are to note for the dies: when you attach a die onto a weapon, if you want to add a different die to that weapon, there is no way to remove that die without losing it. You have to replace the die. Meaning if you spent 50 billion for a purple weapon, but you don't like the color purple, and you change it to red in the future, you will lose the $50 billion purple die on that weapon. As well as to your tag character is shared. So what will end up happening is if you tag your main hand on your main character, you would have to untag and retag your tag character to make that die transfer over. What are the other submittal stuff? Can't rip it out, can't save it, can't replace it, can't store them. So like once you have the die, that's great, but once you use it, that's it. There's no way to kind of cycle through them if you own them both. So you really got to kind of pick your favorites when it comes to dies. But if I miss anything, just let me know in the chat and I'll kind of go over it. As well as you can ask down below in the comments. So the die effects are visible on the dying screen, like the standard dyeing your armor screen, to kind of preemptively preview the die prior to you spending 30 to 50 billion on it. So if you go to any major city, open up character customization, look at your dies, you can go to it and adjust it and kind of see what the effects look like to you. This is just showing you, if you got all the pity pieces, how much it would cost to kind of build yourself. You could either get the pities or the straight drop to both drop. Here's some examples of the dies themselves. They kind of did red dirty a little bit. I actually think red looks pretty good based on what class you're using it on. But the pictures for purple properly represent what the dies would actually look like. I think we can all agree purple looks absolutely phenomenal. And then they just took a picture of red. I don't even know if they put the picture of red in here. Interesting. Like I said, you'll be able to see it in the game. They did have it on the PC patch notes showing red, and they literally just took a picture of it in the skill menu. So, but yeah, purple's definitely a crowd favorite, as well as it being a bit more expensive. Yep, perfect. This is how you're getting rid of the dies. So you get Old Moon Vendor will sell you a die removal if you want to get rid of it. Okay, here's the Star's End remake. So this is just a brief breakdown of explaining that they wanted to keep the roots of Star's End the same. The concept of pack-to-pack movement, no AFK grind time, right? So there's no AFK phases, and do damage to then kind of explode the enemies at the end, very similar to Tungrad Ruins or OG Star's End. It does drop significantly less, Jules, yeah. So they maintained a lot of that. When it comes to Star's End, the AP requirement is about roughly 1900 and some change, 1920, and max of 1950. Now, these numbers seem a bit more achievable for people that are endgame players, but you got to keep in mind that you don't get the benefit of the 60 AP using a Hans Dusk crystal. So you don't get the Adonia crystal to kind of help you boost up your AP for this grind zone. So that number might be a little bit harder for you to achieve than you would think. It is demi-humans though. So you do get to take advantage of either 3 roars and an iridescent for your Lightstone setup, or so of course swapping your harmonies to, instead of Adonia harmonies, you would use demi-human harmonies to achieve that AP. They do damage. You got to be a little careful here. The concept of, I'm going to give you kind of brief overviews for these grind zones, and then you can go out there and experience them yourselves. But you go to the crystal, you kill the crystal as quickly as you can. The crystal will then attract all the mobs. Now, the point you need to remember is the mobs that are moving during the crystal break are not your priority. They will naturally die. What's going to wind up happening is you break the crystal, you wait a few seconds, mobs will then spawn on the ground CC'd, and where the DPS comes into play is you have to kill the CC'd mobs prior to them standing up. You cannot re-CC them. So the moment they hit the ground, you need to burst them down. When they hit 0, they explode and kill all the mobs around them. And then little mobs will spawn that basically just generate trash loot, and they're very easy to kill. Now, the mistakes you can make is that you either waste too many abilities trying to kill the mobs that don't matter prior to the mobs being spawned on the ground, or you don't have the AP requirement to break the mobs that are on the floor and make them explode and kill the mobs around them. So just make sure you're taking the time. I would put remove back attack. If you can have them both, great. But skill add-ons should be down attack because they are on the floor. It's going to be more important than getting back attacks. You need to make sure you just blow the mobs up. And then Reforged Stone adjustment to add back, down attack as well to your Reforged Stones. The Vicious Shadows can be sought for Crocodile Tooth if you want to go above and beyond, especially if you're not able to achieve that AP requirement for that grind zone. You can use Crocodile Tooth, Reforged Stones, and skill add-ons to get more down attack damage to then blow the mobs up and work on your guys' new Corrupted Crystals. So that's the new item that got released right here. These are the new items. Notable drops is an upgrade to your Corrupted Crystals. So what they've done, and I'll probably show this later on, is they added hidden AP to Corrupted Crystals. That's it. Don't overthink it. It's not more crit damage. They didn't remove the DR, -4 DR. None of that. It's just more AP. It's 3 per Corrupted Crystal. You can wear 2 Corrupted Crystals, so a total of 6 additional hidden AP. So pretty good stuff there. The Gluttony Crystals are the pity pieces used to get the actual Gluttony Corrupteds. They're basically, view them as Void Corrupteds because it's a very similar concept as well as similar drop rate. You're going to get roughly 10-ish Gluttony Crystals an hour here, and you'll need 30 of them to create the new Corrupted Crystal. So within 6 hours or less, because you may get some straight drops, you should be able to complete your Corrupted Crystals. Now, what a lot of people have done is because this place doesn't quite meet the exact same money that you'd be making at Zephyros, they will get their Corrupted Crystals and then head back over to Zephyros to continue making money. Now, remember, you get dies on both locations, and this location's a bit of a different feel, pack-to-pack movement, so you might prefer this Star's End over Zephyros, but at the end of the day, Zephyros is more consistent money and has an AFK phase for now. They've already buffed Star's End one time. I would expect probably some changes in the future as well, but they increase the aggro trash you get, as well as significantly increasing the rare drops. So you'll have you're more likely to get the corrupted oil or immortal oils. You're more likely to get straight drops on the crystals, etc. So over a long period of time, Star's End will be able to compete with Zephyros, but you need to stay there for those RNG drops. If you're leaving too early, you're not staying for the Origin of Corruption, which is just a straight $3 billion vendor item, or you're not staying for those additional Devo drops or the Gluttony Crystals past the point in which you've already gotten them, then you're not going to be able to fully utilize the profit from this location because you're going to be wind up using a lot yourself. So Trash Suit, 155. My last hour here grinding, I made about 4.8 billion. That's assuming I sold everything. That means I sold the dyes, I sold the Corrupted Crystals I got, I sold everything. So if you're keeping any of that, it's going to cut into that profit. But with Agris, with gold, 4.8 billion. It's pretty good. Cool. Just kind of going over the changes for you get plus 5 AP for your Gluttony Crystals. You guys can take a look at it now, but you get plus 5 AP. No other notable changes for the crit damage or the DR removal. Okay. That is some basic mount changes. What they've done here is when you summon a particular mythical horse, a animation will play according to that horse. So kind of a small cosmetic change. But if you bring out the Peggy, feathers will pop up. If you bring out the Voltarion, lightning will come out, etc. Right? So Krogdala will kind of do some sort of iteration of all of them. Some knowledge adjustments, node war changes. So they added the new node war seals, and they reimbursed you for the node war seals that you currently have if you use them on the micro stats with like pilgrims and whatever. Maybe it's DR for range, DR for evasion for range, magic DR, magic evasion, etc. You can see it on your pre-awakening skill menu all the way at the bottom. If you ever bought those books, they reimburse you for all of those and give you your seals back. Those seals will be removed in the future. I suggest you burning them on consumables or whatever the heck else you need from the original Node War seals. And then the new Node War seals shop is absolutely phenomenal. But what it's showing you right here is, here's the new shop actually. So Equilibrium Scroll, 350 stack, 300 stack, 250, 200. Some titles. You get a weekly reset of 1,000 crons. You can purchase this 2 times. So 1,000 crons for weekly reset. Marni Fuel, Sturdy Tread, Immortals, drop loot scrolls, whale potions, gold bars, perfumes. Now, remember that right here, always available for Perfumes of Courage and Deep Seas, 1-to-1 ratio with the new seals. So remember 1-to-1, and we'll go over how many seals you're getting per node ware down below. So here is gold bars. They increase the gold bars. So instead of... I don't see the before, but they increase gold bars that you're getting per win. but they also adjusted the seals that you're actually getting as well. So, yep, improve rewards for the Kelphion, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 rewards. What I want to take a look at right now is here's the Valencia. So just straight across the board, more gold bars, more money, better seals, better reward shop. From node warring in general, this will actually go in tandem with the new event we're going to be briefly covering after the patch notes are completed as well. So right now, really, really good time to be in a node war or a siege guild or both. I would get into an active guild and participate in these node wars if you want to take advantage of not only the node war buffs, the drop buffs, the individual payouts, as well as the new reward shops, gold bars, chilling fragments. It's a ton of really good stuff. So we'll continue on though. Every single region got an increase in the money. Yep. No changes to the Thunderbolts. These are the items that are used to create your Voltarion horse. You still are only getting them on uncapped regions. So just kind of keep that in mind that Kelphion's the only place you're going to get the Voltarion. So here's your rewards of participation. These are just participation rewards. So no matter what, just for showing up on Kelphion and getting a fort, even if you lose it and you get 100 kills and 100 deaths combined, right? It could be 50-50, whatever it may be. You will still get 25 seals, which is equivalent to you get 900 mil and 25 seals that can be used for either the School of Equilibrium, stacks, immortals, or perfumes. So very good rewards. 25 perfumes for losing is pretty good. Gold bars to always. This is kind of breaking down what you're getting for siege now. So uncapped siege is going to give you 5 billion each, and then it goes down based on first place, point system based first place, unanimous victory, meaning you're wiping the entire region. Second place, third place, every single placement for siege has been improved. So the biggest thing to note from these changes is if you've already been node warring, you're just going to make more money doing what you were already doing. You're going to get more gold bars, better seals, better shop. Everything about it is going to be improved, which is good. PvP, paying the people that PvP helps a lot with the amount of consumables that you're going to be burning at an end game level. So this is a huge W change. This is across the board. Balanos, Valencia, and Kelphion, all castles will increase the amount of money that you're getting. Conquest Wars is showing you how many seals you get. For first place, 80. If you lose 40, like you could see the difference between a victory and a loss is, 40 perfumes for losing. Just placing a stick, showing up and dying a few times is pretty dang good. So these right here, these are the reimbursements I mentioned earlier for removal of guild tactics and node war exclusive skills. So I mentioned earlier, remember Knights, Martial, and Pilgrim Step, etc. These are just the skill books that you can get by using the original node war seals. They've completely removed these abilities, and they've just given your original seals back. They did not give you the new ones. So make sure you're using those original node war seals. Are Corrupteds overall better for PvE? The only reason I would use Darkness Crystals at all anymore, as Aviva asked in the chat, is for Landemone Light bosses. It's the only reason I would use Node War for Darknesses. I think Corrupteds are pretty much going to be your go-to unless you're maintaining an over 90 to 95% back attack uptime. So maybe Underground Gyphins, but it's just very unlikely that you're going to be at a grind zone that you wind up using. You'll be getting more back attack than you'll be getting taking advantage of crit damage. So yes, I pretty much say I would be very comfortable in saying right now, everybody that's in chat will make more money per hour in PvE with the new Corrupted Crystals than you would with Darkness, excluding Landemone Light bosses. Basic UI changes, you're now able to see all characters' skill menus. So you can go to pause character skills, and you could view every class from one. So if you got CC'd by a Megu, you want to know what a Megu's E-buff is, or you want to know whatever it may be, you could view them now from anywhere. This I think is a massive update. Phenomenal. Shows you the CCs, shows you the pre-buffs, all that fun stuff. They added within, it looks like you add a boss field of view change to the ring menu slider. What this will do is in Landemone Light bosses, calamities, hard modes, etc., you'll be able to actually zoom out significantly farther to get a better overview of the arena itself. and they snap this into your ring menus, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. On PC, there's a little button you click with your mouse. There's no mouse on console, so they added to the ring menus instead. So that's a great change. Basic changes, we can fishing related. Yeah, just like micro changes, nothing too crazy to kind of go over here. What we do have a lot of is a ton of updates, or sorry, events that are going on. Huge events. Now I know this update in general, as far as the scope of it, is very broad. So what I'm trying to do is make sure we don't stay on just one point for too long, because there's just so much to go over. The patch notes and the event link will be in the description down below as well. But just to kind of get a brief overview of the events that are currently going on, there's a lot of them. Remember the date, February 26th, because February 26th is when all of this ends. So for the next 20 days, it's going to be a significant increase in your money per hour, your experience per hour, life scaling, whatever it may be. So major event going on right here. Like I said earlier, not only did they buff the amount of money you're getting from Node Wars, but they're also getting additional crons and silver for just participating on an individual level. You'll be mailed crons and silver for competing in these Node Wars. So what they did on PC was they would accumulate all of your Node Wars you went to throughout that update period, so a 1 to 2 week period, and then they would send it to you in the mail in a lump sum. So don't expect this at the end of every single Node War. It could happen, unlikely. You're likely beginning this in a lump sum at the end of the update week. So probably in 2 iterations, potentially just giving it to you all the 26th. But just keep that in mind. Just keep doing what you're doing, or start showing up to Node Wars, and you'll get paid more in the mail in the future. Up to 3,600 crons, and then individual silver per Node War. So why it's saying up to is it's because the total amount of Node Wars that you've gone to. So the more you go to, the more crons you'll get, the more Node Wars that you just, this is straight up just participation. Nothing to do with victory whatsoever. Slick God says W update. I agree. Your face is money per hour. Hi. Next thing going on, they have a hot time event. So you have 1,000 additional experience. You get 400 life scaling experience. Item drop rate increased by 100 also. So hot time event for 20 days. Very good opportunity right now to take advantage of getting those crystallized end times, getting your Herald's crystals for your demon cups, but also taking advantage of the new grind zones, right? So you have Dekia trees now, you have Dekia Gyphons, and you have Star's End. All of those locations could influence what you're going to be working on next, right? Everybody needs the Gluttony crystals. So during this hot time event, you can easily knock out those Gluttony crystals 6 hours or less at Star's End, or pre-order them. So that the endgame players can go out there and grind them for you, as well as if you want to work on your cups or your Dekia artifacts, great drop rates to take advantage of the new grind zones. Red Horse Aura event, these are just little boxes that pop up when you're grinding. Extra money for this. Once again, like I said, I'm going to include the event pages all down below in the description, just because the extent of this update, I'm not going to go individual. But yes, very, very simple. Don't overthink this. When you're grinding, little boxes will pop up. Kill the little boxes, get extra rewards. It's basic stuff. Horse material, enhancements for tier 9 horses, sharps, memory fragments, artisan memories, stuff like that. So I have it kind of pulled up over here. Kind of give you just a quick overview, right? So you kill them, you get crons, BMCs, mythical powder, which is great. You get fail stacks, 2,000 cron bucks. These are RNG, right? This is stuff you have to get lucky to get. Realistically speaking, you're probably going to get a lot of this stuff, right? Nice little pouches, get you some more crown stones. You play the game, you make more money. You don't got to change anything about what you're doing, as long as you're getting on the game, burning some agris, and killing some boxes that pop up. Fishing event going on. Of course, everybody loves fishing. Make sure you're fishing. All you got to do, fish. This is a event right here. All you got to do is fish. You're going to get additional fishes while you're fishing, and you bring those fishes to this lady. Remember, a lot of people already know who this is. This lady right here, her name is Dongwa. I'm assuming I'm probably butchering it, but she is right in front of the central market between the Velia storage and the central market in Velia, standing up top near the blacksmith, right near Tron and Underfold. So she has quests for you, as well as with additional rewards as well. So make sure you're stopping by her and grabbing her event quests. The fish themselves also have good value to them while you're grinding, or while you're fishing. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you AFK fish. Make sure you're burning your agris. Go to the new grind zones to knock out those corrupted crystals. Work on those dyes if you want to get some sovereign swag You get combat experience, which will stack with the current hot time too as well. It's 1,300 additional combat experience. It's a ton. So definitely take advantage of that. The item drop rate at 10%, unlikely you're going to be using that just because you have 100% drop rate already. So you're probably going to be at max, but hey, we'll take it, right? More drop rate. Let's get back to that event page. They still got the Snow Crasher stuff going on, so just make sure you're heading over towards south of Winter Region all the way. It's kind of center bottom of the map and knocking out the snowboarding challenges. There's a lot of cron zones there, so don't miss out. All you got to do is get some basic times. You can go to that by going to, I think it's Pause Reward. Let me double check. Pause Reward Snow Crasher event. So go to the that location, do all three under the time that they want you to do it at. The times are labeled on the NPCs that are standing at the Snow Crashers area. Snag all the quests, knock them out, and then do the fishing as well. Make sure you guys do the snow fishing to knock out the cron stones. There's a reward shop right there. This is an older event, so I'm not going to kind of dabble too much into this, but if you have ignored the Snow Crashers event, I would recommend heading over there. There's a lot of cron stones, as well as some good meals. You get the steaming potatoes or whatever they're called, which will also give you monster damage monster damage and DR as well. So very important. Last thing I want to cover is Masterclass Tournament is coming to console. So this is huge. If you didn't know how this played out last time, the Masterclass Tournament, the concept of it, let's see if this is any different than PC, was a 1v1 against your own mirror matched class with massive rewards with a sign up period. So it's very important that I'm going to reiterate this one more time to say this nice and slow. There's a sign up period. A lot of people wanted to go to this on PC, but did not respect the fact that it's a time-gated participation event. You cannot just sit back, relax, and just assume that you're going to be automatically enrolled. Take the extra second to go to this location. So let's figure this out together and figure out where the heck we're going to go. I heard there's some slight adjustments. So let's see how this is going. Battlefield, prepare yourself. True test. Yep. So registration, February 26th is when it begins. So after all these events end, Masterclass registration begins. Registration ends March 19th. The final matches will be held. So here's the different dates. So if you're an A, B, C, D group, you'll know what group you're in based on the class that you're participating in. They'll cover that later on. Okay. But here's the dates. Make sure you're available on them. April 5th, 4th, 5th, 11th, and 12th. Great. They're all on weekends. Saturday, Sunday. Okay. Eligibility. This is very important. You cannot go here unless you're above a certain gear score. So you need a combined gear score of 780 or higher on your main character. Yes, they know what your highest achieved gear score is. You don't have to do anything weird. They know. So make sure you're on a character. Make sure you've already achieved 780. And that says that the Land-born light buffs do not count. So keep that in mind. This is much more inclusive than the PC one, where the PC one was 810 gear score. So this is much more realistic. You're going to have email verification because you need to make sure that your console account's linked. Full details regarding the format per class registration schedule will be released after the maintenance. Okay, so cool. This is the overview. We're going to get another update on February 26th during that registration time. That's great. Let's take a look at the rewards. Holy shit, that's some good rewards. 150,000 pearls, 80,000 cron stones for first place. You get an exclusive title. The title is a black and white title. I'm not quite gradient, I think is the word, where it goes from black into white in the title itself. It's very unique, little distracting, all in bold, and it says like master class and then the class that you are, master guardian, master tamer. Really, really cool looking title. This ring is just a flex ring, stays in your inventory. On PC, you can link it in the chat. On console, you can't link it, but it's just a ring that goes in your chat and you can flex it. Furniture piece, trophy, cool. But let's be honest, dude, it's the Archer weapons. We want the Archer weapons. Everybody wants this. It is a exclusive skin that goes onto your awakening weapon and moves. So it has like a movement to it. They probably have some of the spoilers for it to kind of show you. Oh, the Master. Oh, interesting. So different title. Oh, there you go. Master Warrior. See? Oh, first place gets the Master. Feature gets first place will earn their shared title, the Master. Okay. And you also get Master Warrior. Okay, there's what I mean by the white to black, or I said black to white, but it doesn't matter. You get the idea. So you get some titles. Love it. Okay. Additional awards, right? So second place, each class will get 50,000 pearls, 50,000 crown stones, plus a temporary Arsha weapon and a furniture piece. Top 32, so top four. Top 32, top four. Yeah. So top four. Oh, this is showing all of them. Okay. Top four, 50,000. Top eight, 40,000. There is not going to be a significant abundance of certain classes, meaning just by registering and existing, you even show up and there's less than 32 people, you're going to get some pretty good rewards. This is incredibly generous. My suggestion for you guys is show up. Just show up. Doesn't matter if you think you're good or bad at the class. Does not matter. The opportunity you have for crown stones right here is ridiculous. You win a single time and you're already looking at 30,000, you're most likely going to be bumping, ideally, you'd be bumping into somebody at your skill level or lower. So you get the opportunity for more money. But pull up. Top 32 is insane. That's so many people. Most classes will not have that many people participating in them. So, if you guys want to see the different Arsha weapons, you get the idea here. They're all just like slightly different moving animated weapons. Once again, the description will be down below. So, okay, we're gonna have to summarize that right there. That is almost an hour-long overview of just how much content came to console in one day. It's a ton of stuff. I don't expect to be able to you guys retain all of this in one go. But hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of what to look into after, as well as come to the stream and just having a conversation, right? Stream title's the exact same thing as the YouTube title. I'm Zen TV. So if you guys have any questions for me, you guys can either drop in the comments and I'll reply, or come to the stream. But that is a brief overview of today's update. So these update videos will be more consistent, and hopefully I can kind of speed up the time a little bit, because an hour-long video breaking down BDO. I mean, to be fair, this is a pretty big one. So, all right, but that is it, and I'll see you guys on stream.
Tudo repete como se o tempo parou. Tua imagem gira e nunca cessou num loop lento. A vida ficou e meu coração